Hi, my name is Lori McKnight Earhart, and this is my wine video for the Italian Wine Professionals course. I currently work for Southern Glaziers in St. Louis on their D&E Fine Wine team. So my audience is one of the several Italian restaurants that I call on for work every day. Today I've brought really interesting wine from the Gattinara region made by the Travellini family. This is a Nebbiolo-based wine from the Piedmont region. Like many of us, when we think of Nebbiolo and Piedmont, I think one of the first things that comes to mind is Barolo or Barbaresco. Within northwestern Italy, there are several other smaller regions which are perfect for growing Nebbiolo as well, and Gattinara is one of them. They received their DOCG status in 1990. It's a very small region, only about 247 acres, and it's up sort of in that northern tip of the Piedmont region. Very, very steep south-facing slopes that kind of run west, sort of butting into the Alpine Mountains. They have a continental climate, so the summers are somewhat short. Being so close to the Alpine Mountains too, they do get a fair amount of snow in the wintertime. And the soils are very unique. They are gravelly, volcanic soils, which are very rich in iron and magnesium. And this creates a microclimate that is perfect for growing Nebbiolo, or what is locally known as the Spanna grape, and that is spelled S-P-A-N-N-A. So this wine from Travellini, a little bit of history. The Travellini winery was started in the 1920s by Clement Travellini. It has since remained in the family, run by a couple different generations. And this bottling in particular is 100% Nebbiolo. Now, the requirements for the Gattinara DOCG are a minimum of 90% Nebbiolo, and that other 10% can consist of two other grapes called Bonarda di Gattinara or Vespalina. But as I said, this one in particular is 100% Nebbiolo. And then as far as aging goes, the requirements for the Gattinara region are 36 months, 12 of those months being in oak. And at Travellini, they age this wine for the first 12 months in large French barriques. From there, the wine is then put into smaller Slovenian oak casks, and it's aged for an additional 20 to about 24 months. Then the wine is bottled, and it is laid down in the winery for a minimum of another 3 months before it's released to the market. And speaking of the bottle, I think one of the most unique characteristics is obviously the shape of the bottle. So in 1958, Giancarlo Travellini got the idea that he wanted a bottle that was a work of art. He wanted a bottle that would be worthy of the most prestigious tables throughout the world. So he worked with a glassmaker to design this bottle. And as you can see, it's designed to ergonomically fit the pourer's hand. And as you are pouring, the shape over here of the shoulder catches the sediment. So the idea being that one can have a premium, fantastic bottle of wine, not have to decant the wine. And I think just from a marketing standpoint, it was a very smart idea. This clearly makes Travellini's Gattinara very recognizable on the shelf, very recognizable on the table. So I brought this today because obviously we're heading, into fall. We're hitting the end of summer, and I think many chefs and restaurateurs, we're all starting to think about what our fall menus are going to be. So you smell the wine, you get that those typical bouquet of maybe roses or violets that are so characteristic of Nebbiolo, but definitely a little bit of earthiness on the back. Mm-hmm. On the palate, it's almost a bit of a preserved cherry with that bit of a floral note, and of course, the excellent structure of the acidity, which is so characteristic of the Nebbiolo grape. Being that this is a 2010, the tannins are definitely there, but they've softened up a little bit. I think they've integrated very nicely into the palate and the acid structure. So as I said, we're coming to the end of summer and thinking about fall menus, and I think that the Gattinara from Travellini is such a versatile wine. It pairs up really well with several fall dishes that are also very popular in the Piedmont area as well. As we move into fall, I start to think of roasted mushrooms. I think of the famous white truffles coming from Alba in the Piedmont region. This would also pair up very nicely with braised meats or game. I know sausages are very popular in Piedmont, and that's something here that I think this wine would pair up well with house-made sausages and charcuterie. So a great transition wine as we move into fall and fall menus. And then I'll leave you too with another interesting, I think, maybe advantage to Travellini's Gattinara. Again, going back to when we think of Nebbiolo, we think of Barolo and Barbaresco, which are fantastic, iconic wines, but can sometimes also carry a price tag that may not be accessible to everyone. And what I really like about this Gattinara is it falls right in that low 20s range wholesale. So on your wine list, it's really going to hit what we call that sweet spot, that really popular price range on a by the bottle list. So you could bring this in and put it on your wine list from mid 50s to mid 60s, and I think it obviously it's a Nebbiolo wine that might be a little more accessible to a few more wallets. So cheers.